Number 10. Crucifixion nails. It is believed that 2 different iron nails were used to crucify Jesus 2,000 years ago. These nails have always been a contentious historical relic. An unidentified anthropologist named Nico Haas discovered the nails in an unlabeled box. Haas allegedly stole the nails from a tomb he unearthed in the 1970s, as reported by the Israel Antiquities Authority. However, no records can pinpoint exactly which tomb the nails were taken from. Later, in 2011, a controversial documentary claimed the nails were taken from the grave of High Priest Caiaphas, who was engaged in the crucifixion of Jesus. The priest felt so bad about crucifying Jesus that he supposedly saved the nails as some sort of strange memorial. Nails used in Jesus' crucifixion are extremely difficult to verify. However, geologist Shimron claims there is evidence suggesting this might be the genuine article, but there is no 100% valid proof. Number 9. Animal evolution. The timeline for animal evolution may have recently been pushed back by 100 million years thanks to the discovery of a new fossil. It's likely no secret that Earth is at least 4.5 billion years old. In addition, there has always been physical life on Earth. Bacteria were basically the only form of life on Earth for a long time. About 540 million years ago, during a time known as the Cambrian explosion, scientists learned that organisms began to acquire shells and exoskeletons and became animals, answering the question of when animals as we know them today first appeared. At this time, a variety of unique, complicated, and bony-bodied animals appeared out of nowhere. Yet, researchers are at a loss to explain the period before these creatures appeared. A team of geologists and paleontologists in northern Canada have uncovered a microstructure that is approximately 900 million years old. According to the evidence, the sponge-like creature seen here predates the Cambrian explosion by hundreds of millions of years. If this can be traced back far enough, it could indicate that Earth has been home to complex life throughout the vast majority of its age. Number 8. The Bust of Nefertiti. The bust of Nefertiti, a painted figure portraying the pharaoh Akhenaten's royal lifestyle, is thought to have been sculpted in 1345 BC by Thutmose, the most renowned of Egypt's artisans. Since its discovery in his workshop, the bust has become one of the most often copied ancient Egyptian artworks. As a result, Nefertiti became one of the most recognized figures in history. In 1912, a group of German archaeologists, led by Ludwig Borchardt, made the initial discovery of the sculpture. From the time of its discovery, it has never left Germany. Egypt wants the statue returned as a kind of atonement, which has sparked a heated debate between the two countries. Germany, however, has simply refused. The German archaeologists at the time signed an agreement with the Egyptian antiquities agencies, so this is all part of some strange protocol. The agreement was signed 100 years ago. So the question arises, is that agreement still valid? What do you think about it? Number 7. The first noodle. The noodle has been a topic of heated debate. A statement regarding the discovery of noodle fragments from a Neolithic site in China was published in the scientific journal Nature in 2005. The news traveled the world, and it sparked a heated argument amongst the Chinese, the Italians, and the Arabs as to who invented the noodle first. La Cina, a place that has been likened to Pompeii in Italy, is where the oldest noodle was found. It's an old and well-known metropolis that was left uninhabited following a devastating earthquake and subsequent flood. The city was almost perfectly preserved by the flood. The excavations started in the early 2000s. Noodle strands dating back to at least 2000 BCE show that the traditional method of lobbying, in which each strand is stretched by hand, was still used at the time. In modern China, this method is still regularly employed. Each party was so heated because they thought they were being robbed of credit for creating the noodle. Number 6. Fetuses and memory. A recent study has shown evidence that fetuses are capable of forming memories. Researchers have discovered that fetuses as young as 30 weeks old exhibit signs of short-term memory. Researchers reportedly examined 100 pregnant mothers and their fetuses. They were curious about the beginning of memory and the potential longevity of memories. They utilized vibroacoustic stimulation, or VSS, on the developing fetuses. They used ultrasound equipment to watch how the fetuses responded. They found that if a fetus was exposed to the sound repeatedly, it would eventually become used to it. There would be an angry reaction to the noise at first. However, they eventually became adjusted to it. Scientists agree that once a fetus reaches around 30 weeks of gestation, it is able to remember a particular stimulation without having a negative reaction to it. Number 5. The Tomb of Jesus. There are 3 main contenders for the location of Jesus' tomb. There is a legend that after Jesus of Nazareth was crucified, his body was placed in a tomb. But which of these disputed tombs is the true one remains a mystery. Nonetheless, when they returned to the scene to look for his body, he was no longer there. He was resurrected 3 days after he was declared dead. Actually, there are 3 tombs in Jerusalem, and each laid claims to be the original burial site of Jesus. They found 10 burial sites there in 1980. Some of the tombs have the names of Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. Another candidate for Jesus' burial site is the Garden Tomb, which was suggested in 1883. But the individual who discovered this tomb can't be trusted. The Ark of the Covenant was supposedly discovered in the area and subsequently taken. Lastly, there is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. At the time that Jesus was crucified, there was an old Jewish cemetery located outside the city walls of Jerusalem. This is supported by excavation results. There is no way to know for sure if Jesus was buried in this location or one of the other 2 that have been proposed as possible burial sites. Number 4. Big brains. New theories about how we evolved to have such large, complex brains have been suggested in a highly controversial recent study. Between 2000 and 6,011,700 years ago, human brain size increased dramatically, as if through the use of steroids. Up until recently, the human brain has developed at a faster rate than the brains of any other known species. Tel Aviv University scientists think the change in our hunting methods is to blame for this abrupt booming population. The experts claim that as humans began hunting the bigger animals, we drove them to the verge of extinction and eventually ran out of food. Big game like bison and elephants would have made for excellent fatty dinners for our ancestors, but as we wiped them off, we were all reduced to hunting smaller animals for food. This meant that we had to use our collective brain power to the fullest extent if we wanted to capture the smaller, more cunning animals. Consequently, the geniuses increased their progeny count by having more children who also inherited their high IQs. At the very least, a new theory suggests that this is contentious since its veracity cannot be established. All we can say for sure is that between 2 million and 10,000 years ago, the human brain grew from 40 cubic inches to 92 cubic inches in volume. That's a tremendous expansion. You're not going to believe what comes next. We've lost 12 cubic inches of brain volume since the introduction of agriculture, according to scientists, bringing the total to 80 cubic inches. Number 3. The truth about Pluto. The discovery of Pluto has been the most exciting development in astronomy in recent history. The removal of Pluto from the list of planets was much more controversial than its discovery 90 years earlier. Still, what exactly is Pluto? And why it is the solar system's most divisive planet remains a mystery. Clyde Tambo spotted it in 1930, and in 2003, a planet slightly larger than Pluto was discovered beyond Neptune in a zone with billions of little icy pebbles. Now we reach the point where debate arises. Many astronomers and planetary scientists still consider Pluto to be a planet. In 2006, Pluto was demoted to the status of dwarf planet by the International Astronomical Union. As for the definition of a planet, some researchers have drawn the line at Pluto since they believe it is too small to be considered a planet. However, other researchers, about 50%, maintain that Pluto should be included in the planetary system. Where do you stand in this argument? Let us know in the comments. Number 2. Monsters on Crete. Archaeologists of the Greek island of Crete uncovered intriguing tracks, indicating that a humanoid creature may have roamed the area around 6 million years ago. The human foot, which is quite unique, is the key to comprehending this controversial discovery. The foot is one of the most identifying features of a human. Scientists on Crete were astounded when they discovered fossilized footprints created by a bipedal organism with feet that seemed remarkably identical to our own. There were a total of 29 prints, varied in size. They were nearly identical to ours, save for one key difference: they lacked sufficient toes. A large toe, 3 little ones, and a heel make up the foot. Carbon dating places the age of the footprints at 5.6 million years in the past. But if you didn't stop to count the toes, you may think they belonged to a modern human. What was this thing anyway? No one knows the answer. Number 1. The Pharaoh's Medallion. As legend has it, Akhenaten's tremendous rulership was marked by the existence of a mystery pharaoh's medallion. His son, King Tut, would later unite Egypt in its worship of the sun god. The alien-like figures who appear to be governing the pharaohs are part of what makes the medallion so intriguing. The medallion features what seems like a huge UFO in the middle, an alien with an oblong head at the very top, and a few pharaohs and gods like Ra and Anubis at the bottom. The medallion suggests that Egyptians were well aware of the presence of extraterrestrials. If correct, it would strengthen the argument that extraterrestrials were involved in the construction of the Egyptian pyramids and other monumental works of architecture. What are the chances that Akhenaten, the pharaoh, actually ordered this? In most artistic representations, he has long, skinny arms and legs, a potbelly, and a huge head with almond eyes. Many people have wondered if he was indeed human because of his unearthly appearance. Unfortunately, no one knows the whereabouts of the medallion, who discovered it, or if the whole thing is a fabrication perpetuated by fake archaeologists. The truth is that Akhenaten, Pharaoh of Egypt, almost certainly possessed a genetic abnormality that caused his brain to expand to abnormal sizes. This pharaoh continues to be mysterious. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.